Hello and welcome everyone, Lionheart here with some more from the Team Dig and Tower Total War Rome 2 Invitational Tournament. So we now have the final between Balor of Agartha and Aggony Duck. This is a best of 5 matchup. So I'll be joined by Gamerdusa and Indie Pride once again in the commentary box. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the 4th battle of the finals here. In fact, at this point in the Twitch stream, I was actually taking a break, so Dogbert jumped on in, so you'll have Dogbert, Gamerdusa, and Indie Pride all commentating on this 4th battle. Enjoy.
Alright, so let's see here. So, both players, I think, are ready.
They're about to get started.
The dung of readiness.
So, guys, run me through Aggony Duck's setup. He needs to win this game to win the money and stay in it. So, what has he picked?
Alright, so I'm gonna go over this build. He's got 4 units of Hastati on his right flank, supported by 1 unit of Soki Equites. That's 2 units of Soki Equites. His center is composed of 4 units of Veteran Legionnaires with his Legatus. He's also He's also brought 1 levies. And then over there on the left, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Legionaries, and then 2 more Equites. So this is a incredibly aggressive power build from the look of it. He is going to have the numerical advantage over Glacia easily.
And then what have we got over here for the man leading the tournament right now?
Looks like Galatian swords are going to be making up the right and left flank for Balor of Agartha, and in the center, Galatian Legionnaires, of course. We're going to be seeing that combination every time Galatia gets picked. 2 Celtic Slingers, just for a little bit of skirmish action, and maybe to counter any javelins, or if perhaps Aggony Duck had brought an elephant. Definitely good to bring a couple skirmishers there, it's just nice to round out your build that way. And then some Mercenary Cappadocian Cav and Noble Horse in the back. And it really does look like people are just starting to copy each other's build, seeing what works, and just going with that. Because we've seen this build from Duck throughout the tournament. I think we've seen the 2 Cappadocian Cavalry, the Noble Horse General, and Galatian Legionnaire frontline with Galatian Sword support very often. And of course some Galatian Raiders in the woods, ready to spring an ambush. But again, I think it's going to be hard for that Jav Cap to make a huge impact on this battle, just because both players know how to deal with it.
Yeah, the 6-6 Galatian Sword, Galatian Legionnaire split is definitely the standard for Galatia. And then, as you said, like the Noble Horse General has always been there. And then it's about, okay, do I bring 1 Mercenary Cappadocian and 2 Slingers with 3 Raiders, or do I cut down on the Raiders and bring more Cappadocians? But more or less, it's the same army from Galatia, kind of just being tweaked a little bit around the edges.
And the same positioning that Duck took with Galatia in the last game. Basically, it looks like he's going to be retreating a little bit. Looks like, you know what, if I would say that I thought this was the exact same replay starting out. I mean, of course, the Roman build is a little bit different, but starting out very similar, and the builds are just so similar as well. Looks like Aggony Duck is the attacker, designated attacker this game, correct?
I believe so.
Looks like we're getting some lag too.
I
Is that just
No, it's everybody, I think.
Okay.
I think with this many Hastati and this many just normal Legionnaires, the 6-6 build from Balor might actually have a little bit of trouble. There's so many units to contend with. You're talking about 14 units versus 12 here, plus the fact that you have 4 units of Equites to be able to kind of fight back those Cappadocians and maybe get some charges down. That 1 unit of levies, though, I think the Slingers are going to probably have lots to say in this battle.
Yeah, well, it's not. I mean, the levy there isn't really an important unit for Duck. Obviously, he's not gonna. I mean, he's probably gonna keep it in the back so it doesn't get shredded by Celtic Slingers, and of course they could do a lot of damage if given the opportunity to flank and throw some javelins into the rear. But I think they're more like a token unit to just kind of round out the rest of his army. Of course, 1 levy generally not going to do a whole lot of damage. I would be very interested to know what Balor's reasoning for sitting back here is. I know it's what Aggony Duck did, but at least to me, I don't feel like the geography, the parts of the woods back there, are really a huge advantage for him. I wonder why they don't just kind of engage in the center. I have a feeling that it might be because if Galatia decided to move up, then Aggony Duck might retreat to the hill. But it just doesn't seem like where he's sitting in his deployment zone is just a huge bonus for him or for Rome. Either way, I don't really feel like it gives either player an advantage. So I do think that, or I'd hope that Balor moves up a little bit more and Duck continues his move forward so they can engage. Because, I mean, they both brought Sword Rush builds. Like, staring at each other for a while isn't really going to benefit either player. If anyone was doing anything proactively right now, I would expect it to be Balor of Agartha with the Light Missile Cav, the Galatian Raiders, doing some harassment on the Legionnaires. But again, high armored units, not going to do too much damage.
I would probably save it. I would honestly probably save it.
Or when the engagement starts and throw it into the rear of the units. Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably do that, but like the worst thing for him right now would be if he like sends them at the back to try and kill like a few men and then loses one of them. I would definitely seriously think about keeping this unit alive, or these 2 units alive until the late game. Because everybody knows how strong Jav Cav are in the late game, where everybody's hit points are just low, and when unit numbers dwindle down. And I think this is the type of battle where there's enough units for that kind of scenario to kind of take place. 3 units of Cav, though, for Galatia means that compared to the 2 units of Cav I think that Duck had yesterday, in terms of last game, in terms of the 2 units of Cav only, I think that's going to be a really, really big difference, especially if he uses them to great effect. But again, Duck is taking his time, just kind of camping through these forests over here.
Why, he's in no hurry, you know. This might be his final moment of glory before he's knocked out, so you might as well soak it up as much as possible.
Absolutely.
Revel in the stream and the esports that is Total War at the moment.
It's a game of a lot of patience and then a lot of quick micro and then game over.
Well, that's the interesting thing about this patch in general, is the CA's moved from, like, if you just look at it's night and day from patch 14 to what are we on patch 16.1 now. The changes from patch 15 were specifically what changed the metagame so much and what changed combat in general. Patch 14, melee engagements were so fast, and that was mostly true for a lot of Rome 2's life cycle, is that when you would charge into a unit that you had the advantage in, they would just kind of shatter, and sometimes in seconds. And one thing that was really good about patch 15 was that it made it so that cheaper units like Hastati and Celtic Warriors could engage higher tier swords in melee combat and not just rout and shatter right off the charge, which is really nice for the game. In some other ways, a lot of competitive players don't like everything about this patch, and one of the things they don't like is that when you take engagements that on previous patches would have been decisive, like a Cataphract Hammer and Anvil into a sword unit or something like that. Like on previous patches, patch 14, units would just shatter instantly. And maybe they should, because like it's a Cataphract unit, it's known for having ridiculous charge bonus, being very heavy mass, but nowadays, when you do a charge like that, it doesn't necessarily shatter a unit right off the charge, and engagements in general, just melee engagements, take much longer. So there are good things, a lot of really good things about this patch, and some things that competitive players don't like as much. But overall, I think that patch 15 was very good for the game and definitely opened up a lot more factions. But for this tournament so far, I think it's been, as we've seen, the sword spam meta.
I'm just seeing the riders finally coming out a little, see what they can do. That 1 unit of levies making itself useful for once.
Yeah, there's a little bit of Galatian Raiders out on the flank doing... They've taken a little bit of damage from the levies. Actually, no, levies didn't get any kills.
No, it's from the Legionaries.
Yeah, Legionaries have no kills. They just got a little bit too close. Skirmish mode is a little bugged on this patch. It doesn't really react the way it always should. Like, you'll run into melee range of a legionary or another sword unit, or any unit for that matter, and they won't actually run away right away. So sometimes it does take more micro, and right now, of course, he doesn't have a lot to micro. He's just doing the Galatian Raiders. He hasn't moved his main line at all, but yeah, the micro mistakes can definitely happen with the Galatian Raiders, because you expect them to run away, and they don't always do that.
He's targeting the Equites with his Galatian Raiders, which I think is a very smart choice.
It is. You can whittle that down a lot. The problem is that Duck actually isn't responding the way a lot of players this tournament have, which is by sending screening it with a Hastati or a Legionary unit out in front. So they've taken HP damage that they really probably shouldn't have. So not a huge deal, from Duck, but you don't want to be losing HP or men in your Equites this early. They are cav units, and they can often change the complete outcome of this battle. So you want to keep those alive, keep their HP highest.
Oh, look at this. These levies are going to get charged.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. I wonder if that's a miss micro, or... I mean, I'm sure he didn't intend to do that.
I mean,
But,
I don't think the levies can do much in this in this circumstance for him
No, they
anyway.
can't.
Maybe actually draw these raiders in close enough for the Equites. You're trying to get a charge, but point blank.
Over on the other side, though, there's a possible charge from the social Equites.
He's engaging.
He's going to get a charge on them.
Oh, stationary charges on the
No,
mercenary.
he has a bunch of units
Cappadocian.
there, so he's not going to do that much damage to the mercenary Cappadocians, to be honest. But actually, he's tying down the other ones so they can't
He's
reinforce.
eating it up. Look.
Is he not using debug cam right now? I'm really surprised he hasn't seen this.
And
He's
look at the
broken
Galatian
entire
swords.
unit on the side.
Yeah, the Galatian swords is literally wavering.
I think his camera was just focused on the Galatian Raiders out on the other flank, and good move from Duck. I mean, definitely a miss micro from Balor here.
Completely caught him off guard. He routed a 75 strength Galatian sword off the battlefield with
Let's see if he can
X
shatter
Soki
it.
Equites charge.
Because shattering it would be huge, because those units will come back if they don't.
Absolutely.
I think he can wrap around if he should. He should absolutely go all in to try to get that Galatian sword off the field if he can.
Look at the javelins,
gonna charge it
peelers coming
again?
on the cav.
On the Galatian swords this time, bringing them down.
Engagement
110.
is starting.
Wow.
I would have liked to see Duck chase off that Galatian sword for sure, because I think he could have
Equites,
routed it.
man. This is such a good move from Duck. Look at these units and how isolated they are. The Celtic Stringers are going to come in now. Here is the Galatian line is going to start shifting down and trying to deal with this, but I think there's just way too many units. Here come the veteran Legionaries and Hastati, and they're going to slow down this charge and give enough time for the Equites, which have gotten so many kills in that engagement, to kind of just pull out. They might just get caught here by mercenary Cappadocians. He's just going to turn around and take the charge.
I think this
Wow.
cav battle is going to be really important. I think Duck has, and actually, well, actually no, Galatia doesn't have any men that he can plop in the back. So if Rome somehow manages to win this cavalry engagement decisively, which I don't think he will, because one of these is already wavering, then he would be free to start hammering and anviling. But he's going to bring, Duck's going to bring his legatus up there to try to help it. Oh yeah, the cavalry's done.
There's
Mercenary
huge-
Cappadocians pulling their weight here now.
There's huge engagements happening across the line here. We've got Galatian Legionaries tangoing with Legionaries from Rome, and even in some places, some Hastati, but notice how it's minimal. The Hastati that have actually engaged where they're not sort of outnumbering are very limited.
He's
They're
going
all
to
at the
break
back.
through. He's going to break through on Balor's left flank. And that's
Look
a
at
lot
this.
of units right there. That's 2 veteran Legionnaires, 3 veteran Legionnaires, and Hastati are going to engage in the center. Now,
Such good use of Hastati here.
Yeah, what I think you need to be careful with here, if you're Aggony Duck, is you want to make sure that you have at least 1 unit in the back of your army to tie down an enemy cavalry unit if he does manage to get them around the flank. He's not actually doing it. He's putting it behind his own men, probably to get ready to hammer and anvil the veteran Legionnaires that are going to flank into the back of the Galatian legions. But we'll see what he
Rally
does with the
pops.
cavalry there.
Here comes some charges from these Galatian Raiders. These are going to be deadly.
Yeah, they're decent in melee, and it's more about the morale shock. The charge bonus on them is pretty minimal. Actually, no, they have
They
a
did a lot.
39 charge bonus. That's huge.
Yeah, they
I
did
didn't
a
know
lot. Look at that.
I didn't know that at all. That's
They
really
did so much.
large. Yeah, they did a lot, and they're free. And this was the problem. I said it a second ago. Duck needs to have a disengaged Hastati or something that can nullify the charge. Because if all these guys keep getting hammered and anviled, I mean, the Galatian Raiders will drop eventually, and they're only half strength. You can see they actually just dropped a lot on that charge, but
Yeah.
it's gonna be a problem for him, no question.
The peeler
And then
from
the
his
Legionnaires who
infantry
won on the left
just
flank haven't
murdered
gotten
that cavalry there.
Yeah.
There's lots of Roman units here that are about to free
Oh,
up,
they're
and
about
they're
to-
just gonna clamp.
In the middle, the Legionnaires are starting to waver, and on the right flank, Balor's winning.
There's a huge mistake that has been committed by Balor this entire game. Look at his general, just starting to come in now. He was fighting against a single Equite and that single unit of Legionary all game. And his units have been wavering, and like, look at this unit of Galatian Legionaries here. 80 men, and it's wavering, and it's probably gonna rout. No, it stabilizes just a little bit. But we
He's
had
good as
several
general
units.
over there.
Yeah, we had several units that are just routing at really high strength. His general needs to be coming here and like remedying this somehow.
Once again, more of those riders coming in. But oh, they got caught out by the Legatus on the way in there.
What is he doing with his gen?
I don't know.
He's
I really don't.
engaging a unit from the wrong side. the Galatian swords were engaging on the other side. Here we go.
Oh, this is gonna be a good side, a good.
It's decent, but he wasn't really compact. You can see how the unit was really spread out.
Yeah,
if you made sure that the unit was compact together before you charge, but it doesn't matter. They're gonna end up routing anyway. But middle engagement is going really well for Rome.
Oh, Rome has
General's
so
still
many
fine.
units.
He's
Rome is
in
just
really good
winning
shape
the
to win this,
numbers game here.
Balance bar is shifting a little bit in his favor, but I think that it's a little misleading. I think it's much more in Duck's favor than it is
obvious.
in Baylor's.
So true. I think Duck has just won this game easily. Like, he used his numbers so well. One key point is that his Hastati came in after the main lines engaged. I was looking across the line to see where the Hastati had engaged, what units they were fighting, and they hadn't actually engaged. He left his Hastati behind in the back lines. Once the engagement started, he used his Hastati to throw javelins and help into the grind, and that's exactly how you want to use Hastati in this kind of environment. If you just use them to kind of blunt the charge of some units, they might just fight pound for pound in this type of line versus line engagement, and then end up losing without really getting much damage done. But his Hastati are still on the field, and they're actually still doing damage. 59 kill on one of them, 68 on the other, and this one has 40. That's pretty good, considering that they're fighting units like Galatian Legionaries and Galatian Swords.
Well, yeah, and it's not always about the kills for Hastati. Like, the biggest thing they are is a meat shield. So when you prevent a unit like Galatian Legionary, which has a pretty devastating charge, and because they're barbarian infantry and a great mid-tier swords unit, when you prevent that kind of thing and maybe get like 30, 40 kills, they're often worth their weight. Only 350 talents, it's really, really good. And then, yeah, I mean, just really good play from Duck, and I think that Balor's micro on the Noble Horse this game was strange, to say the least. They didn't do very much this game at all, to be honest.
I think Duck just outplayed him this game.
Yeah.
Like the micro, the positioning on the units, the use of the equites in the beginning there. Like, I think what kick-started this battle and gave Duck the advantage was that these raiders were kind of being annoying on his flank, and then he saw an opportunity and he charged with his Soki equites, routing one unit off the battlefield and doing tons of damage to the mercenary Cappadocians. And that's really what forced Galatia to kind of move forward and start the engagement. Really, really well played by Duck. He has proved me wrong, won this game, and now it's 2-2, and we're heading for the final game, guys.
I called
Crazy.
it. I called
And
it, boys.
this time, Aggony Duck is going to be the defender in the next matchup as well.
So Duck gaining another victory. He's brought it 2-all now, so it is all to play for Balor and Duck in this next match of the finals to see who is going to win overall. Can Duck keep it up, or will Balor be able to regain control of this tournament? We shall see in the next upload. So make sure you stay tuned in for that. It will be uploaded in the next day or two, or if you're watching this in the future, make sure you have a look in the description where you'll find a full playlist of all of the Twitch battle exports from this tournament, from the third place playoffs between Llewellyn and Panda Warrior, and all of the final battles between Balor of Agartha and Aggony Duck. So until next time, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook and Twitter, take pride and join the Legion. Ciao for now.